Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to week 12 of CIT 141. This week we're going to be discussing level design. And we're going to be doing the level design in Unreal Engine. Most of your landscaping and structural design stuff for gaming is going to be done inside of the engine that you're working in. So it's good to get used to that. And what you end up doing is bringing in any of the objects that you've created in Maya or other 3D software into your level, and then placing, scaling, and animating things inside of Unreal Engine. So the first thing I'm going to want you guys to do is to create a new project. If you don't have Unreal Engine, you can open up your Epic Games launcher. Which, if you don't have that, you should go download that. There's a um, example or a tutorial on downloading that in the syllabus, as well as I think on the first week's modules. Um, Go into your Unreal Engine tab and then click on your library, and then you can, using this plus icon here, download the most recent version of Unreal Engine, which is 5.4.4. And once that's done downloading, if you click launch, it will open up a new project for you, which I'll show you right here. This week, for your assignment, what I would like everyone to do is to create a new project in Unreal Engine in either the third person or first person templates. The reason I want to do that is so that when I look at your projects, I'll be able to actually play as a character and walk around your level and see things from the character's perspective. Um, so that's just a uh, makes it easier because it gives you the character and the cameras and everything you need to play as a character in first person or third person, whichever one you want to do. Um, so what you're going to do is choose either first person or third person, and then go down to your starter content. Make sure that is checked so that you can add your starter content into the project. So you'll have some stuff to work with. Choose where you want your project to be located and the name of your project, and then click create. Um, when you create, I'm not going to because I already have a new project open. But when you create a project, it will be put into a folder off your project name. So I created a project called Level Design. All of my files and everything for my Unreal project are in here. Um, the level design or the actual Unreal project file is right here. This is what you open up if you want to edit it in the Unreal editor. Everything else is the different uh, code and asset files that are being used to create the game as you create it. When you import or when you upload your assignment for this week, make sure that you zip up your project folder, the entire thing, and send me that zip file so that I can actually open up your project itself and see your designs. So now we got that out of the way. What I'm going to do is create a so when you open up your Unreal, your content browser here might be somewhere else. Just I would click on the tab and drag it to where you want it. I like it in the bottom here so I can see my viewport and everything that I'm working with down below. Um, and then once you have your content browser open, if you right click inside of it and then choose level, it'll create a new level for you. And then you're going to just name that new level. I'm calling it level design example. And now that we have a new level, we'll be able to open it up and start creating our level design. I'm going to do that real fast. It might take a minute or two. So I'm going to pause the recording, start it back up when it's open. Okay, so now that we have opened up our level, we're going to see a couple of things, and we're going to talk about what's being shown here. As you can see, the level is completely black. You can see the grid, which will show us kind of where our zero is on our axis. But if I were to right click, drag my mouse, alt click to move, or anything like that, no matter what I do, there's no light. So the first thing we're going to need to do is create a light. There's a couple of things that we actually have to add to our project to give the idea of a sky. So we're going to do that real fast. I would like to mention before I keep going. So assignment, or this lecture is going to be split up into doing an outdoor scene design and an indoor scene design. So while you probably want to start with these steps when you start doing landscaping versus um, room construction, that's where this will veer off. So remember to always start with this in your level design, and then if you are doing an indoor design, go with interior design stuff, and if you're doing an outdoor level, you can go into landscaping and stuff like that, which I'll show you the landscaping stuff in this section, and then I'll do in a separate video the interior design stuff. So to start with your light, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the add button up here, and you're going to scroll down to lights, and we're going to add a directional light. So the directional light is basically going to act like the sun. And as you can see, while it's in the project, it's here in our outliner, it doesn't actually show any light. That's because there's nothing for the light to reflect off of. If I were to press Control L, I think, wait, can I? There we go. Control L, this will give me access to kind of maneuvering. You have to hold down Control and L to use it, but it'll give me access to basically maneuvering the position of the light in the sky. This isn't going to show us anything because there's nothing for the light to bounce off of. But if we go back into our add, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add a visual effect. We're going to add a sky atmosphere. Now we're starting to see, you can see it here on the ledge, and I don't know, yep, I can twist up. Now we can see that we have a sky and a horizon. If we wanted to add a skylight, we do that. Now the skylight is going to give us what the realistic shadows and things reflecting off of the objects in our scene. So we're gonna put that in, and we're not going to do anything with it. It just needs to be in the scene. The last thing that we're going to add is another visual effect. It's going to be the exponential height fog. So what that's going to do, as you see, it's kind of blended into our horizon. It masks any of the open space between where our floor is, where our landscape is going to be, and the horizon. So if I were to turn this off, you can see the straight black line there where the horizon meets the sky. And if we get rid of that, then you can see how it kind of blends in. It also goes down underground infinitely and creates this kind of sphere around your space to create a realistic sky. All right, so now that we have those things in here, and again, if I were to press Control and L, I can move my directional light around, and you can see that it's moving the sun. So you see the sun in the background there. I can position this any time of day I want. We're going to do something that's more like straight up in the sky, closer to noon, so we get a nice blue sky here. And again, that's something that you can maneuver after you've built your scene. You can use it to set the mood or the time of day, depending on how you like what you like for the shadows that are created and things. But first thing that we're going to do is actually put things into the scene. So let's do that. If you go over here to where it says selection mode and you click on the drop down, you can choose landscape. And what landscape is going to do is it's going to actually place our ground. You can see this green grid, and if I were to zoom out, you can see that it gives us a nice big grid. This default size is right over here. It says 63 by 63 quads. That means that there's, in each one of these squares, there is, yes, believe so. In each section, there is 63 by 63 quads, or square polygons that make up the ground. We can change this. We can, if we go into the drop down for the section size, if I make it like 15 by 15, makes these sections a lot smaller. If I were to do, say, 7x7, it gives you kind of a default size that's 7. You can change the size as much as you want here, um, all the way up to 255 by 255, and that's all good and everything if you wanted to create a massive like open world map. We don't need to set you can also, I guess, do additional sections, which will, this basically is just going to double your component size. So you can do all sorts of things by default settings for your landscape size, but we don't need to do that. So I'm going to set it to a 7x7 quad, and this is kind of the size that I'm going to ask you guys to do a section, a smaller. You can do 7x7 or 15x15. Just you don't need to do an entire forest or an entire beach scene or whatever. Just something that's manageable, because these things can get very large. And again, if I were to go here, I say, okay, this is my 7x7 quads. I could also, if I change my scale, so let's change it down to 10. Boom. If you change your scale here, it gets even smaller. So right now it's set by default as 100, so that's 100 times the default size. Which again, if I set it to 1, that right there is a single 7x7 square. So what I actually want to do here is I'm going to leave it at 100 by 100, or 100 by 100 scale here, because this gives us a nice size. And to kind of show you perspective, I'm going to create this, and then I'm going to um, put a character in. I just want to check what is actually in our. Yeah, we don't really have material that we want to use for this. All right, so we can just go with a straight blank material. Okay, so if you click on create, now we have a landscape. And from here, you can see kind of this circle brush that is created here. So this is your sculpting tool. When you create landscape and you're doing exterior stuff, you can use these different tools to create your ground, whether it's creating paths or cliff faces or valleys and things like that. You can do all of that in this landscape mode. I don't want to start with that, so I'm actually going to go back to, if we go to this drop down and click on selection, so I'm back in our selection mode. Now you can see we have a nice landscape. It is rather thin, and you can see it doesn't have visibility under it. But this is where we're going to start. So next thing I want to do is I want to throw a character in here. I wonder if it is under, I don't know exactly. Oh, you know what? Now I think about it. Yeah, this is the first person mesh, so we don't really have a full. Let me search for the Manny. Yeah, I didn't think so. If you're in first person template, the way first person design works for Unreal is you use I'll put them in here. You use this kind of stand in for a full character, which is just arms. Because when you have a first person camera, you're looking here at the shoulder height and everything, and the only thing that you're going to be able to really see, let me just drop my camera speed down a little bit. The only thing you're going to be able to see when you're in your camera is your arms. That's usually the only thing that you use in first person, whether it's holding a gun or another weapon, climbing, things like that. So Unreal does an arm model for its first person characters. And if you go into, I'm not going to get super deep into this, but if you go into the first person blueprints for your character, and then go into your viewport, you'll see the way that it's set up is you have arms, and the camera is on top of your arms, and then this capsule is your collision. So this will basically act as your entire body for things like getting hit. But you don't need to worry about that. Just know that if you're trying to scale things based off of a character, it can be a little difficult in first person. But what we can do is if we go to our plus sign and if we add a player start, and let's drag our player start up and over here. Again, the player start has this capsule that's kind of your collision outline. So you kind of want to place that close to the ground, so when you start the game, you don't fall into nothing. And then if you click on this play button while you have a player start in, now I am a character and I can run around. So this is to give you an idea of scale. Again, I think this is a fine size for what you're going to be doing. I would start with this, and if you want more or less space, you can change that in landscape mode. We don't need the arms, but we will leave the character start so that I can test, or player start, so I can test things while I'm building. Next part of this is going to be doing actual landscape molding, and then we're going to be adding different scenery and things to our outdoor scene. So be right back. Got to restart the recording, and we'll get started. All right. So now that we have our landscape set, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of sculpting here to show you how that works and things that you can do to create a nice scene. So we're in selection mode, so we're going to go back to landscape mode. And as you can see, we have our brush. Your brush might be a lot larger. Let's say it would probably default something like this. If you use the brush size here, and you can kind of just change it to whatever size you want. This is in Unreal units, so centimeters, basically. You can affect specific parts of smaller parts. You can get more defined. You can also change your tool strength. So if I were to say, to drag this all the way up and drag, as you can see, it's kind of created a very sharp peak. But if I were to drag this back down to, say, there, now it makes kind of a softer peaks. So you can use this to sculpt your, and I'm going to undo this stuff because this isn't where I want to start. Kind of manipulate kind of how you want to affect your map. So I'm going to start with, let's start with like a quarter of the map here. I'm going to put in a bit of a hilltop here. So let's do this. You can adjust which type of brush you're using. So the basic is just a circle, and then you have certain things like alpha brush, which will mask alphas into your brush strokes. Not something that you need to worry about too much with what we're doing, but you can add that. You can also do patterns across your landscape. And you can also change the shape of your brush fall off. So right now it's kind of a rounded, smooth fall off. So if I were to drag this up, kind of round it off there. If I were to go to this, which is more sharp and linear, if I drag this up, you can see it's kind of a more sharp fall off. And then if I were to do something like spherical, it gives us a very round. So I've never actually used the tip fall off, but I imagine that, yeah, that gives you a very high kind of plateau-y looking edge. And then you can also change your brush fall off. So if we increase our brush fall off, it increases how I guess wide the fall off is. So we can affect, basically, if you see this ring, the inner ring is where it starts to fall off, and the outer ring is where it falls off too. So if we were to drag this up, it increases kind of or I guess, gosh, the words. It tightens where it starts to do the fall off, so you'll get uh, more sudden drops in your mesh design. All right. So we're here. I'm going to drop my brush fall off down because I kind of want to do like an easy slope here in this like corner. I'll drop my tool strength, and we're just gonna kind of do a little bit there. Maybe do a little bit more. If you place your brush, so let me change my brush size so we can get kind of an inner thing. If you place your brush at a certain level and click, oops, um, it will create kind of your brush. Oh, I actually didn't even notice I was doing that. Sorry. And we go back to our smooth fall off. Try this again. All right, so there we go. That's better. And we'll go into an inner circle, something like that. If you click, it will increase the size of the height of your sculpt over time. So you can kind of just click and hold, and it'll drag everything up a certain amount. So it's just kind of like playing with it, figuring out what you like, what you don't. And again, it's mostly just your interpretation of what you want to do with this scene. So let's say I were to do that. All right, now we have a little bit of a hill over here. Want to do kind of want to do kind of a river down here. All right, so now that we have kind of a nice landscape kind of forming here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten out this top part here. So I'm going to go use our flatten brush. So we have more space to work with where I'm going to put our building. So click here, and we're just going to drag out and then drag out to the edge there and get things all nice and flat up here. This right here feels a little bit too steep, so we're going to add a ramp from here all the way down to here. And we're going to make that a little bit wider because why not? And that's good. Let's play that. There we go. So now we have a nice smooth kind of ramp up to this point. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add foliage. We're going to do grass. We're going to add some trees in, things like that. But in order to do that, there's a couple things that we're going to have to do first. So if you go into our drop down for landscape mode and go to foliage mode, this is what you'll see. This is our foliage painter. And it's very similar to painting textures and stuff like in Substance. You're going to have a brush. That brush is going to have a mesh, foliage mesh, that is going to be painted onto our scene. I'm actually not sure if there is one. I don't think there is. No. Okay. So the starter content doesn't have that, but we're gonna add one into our project. Give me 1 second, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So we are going to do foliage, right? First thing we want to do is we want to apply a actual material to our ground. You can do that in a couple of ways. You can paint it on, or we can do. Let's go back to my selection mode real fast. We can give it a material. So if we select our landscape in our outliner, and then here you see the landscape material. If you click on this drop down, you can see all the different materials in our project, and you can create your own material if you want. If you want a specific style of ground material, or inside of the starter content. So inside your content folder, in starter content under materials, you have all these materials that you can use to create your levels. So I'm going to choose the let's go with the sandstone. So if you just drag the material from your content browser into this little box, it'll apply it automatically. So now all of a sudden, our um, landscape has a kind of a sandstony look to it. Um, it's not honestly the best, but I'm just going to be working with the stuff that's actually in the starter content here, plus what I'm about to show you. So like if you wanted to just use grass, for instance, there's your grass. And if you wanted to use gravel or whatever, I'm actually going to stick with the sandstone because it's going to give me um, a very easy way to tell what's going to happen next. So what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Before I uh, stopped recording earlier, I said that we wanted to get foliage for our foliage mode, and unfortunately, the game itself or the engine itself and its starter content doesn't actually include any of that. So we're gonna have to find it ourselves, but that's okay. It's pretty easy. Um, I guess I should make sure that everybody has the plugin installed. Give me 1 second. Where's my Unreal or Epic Game Launcher? That one. Inside of your Epic Game Launcher, there's this tab called Fab. This is the Unreal Marketplace. It's actually kind of a new changeover. They have combined the Unreal Marketplace with Sketchfab and ArtStation, and provided all of those different marketplaces in one spot. If you click on the Start Exploring button, you'll actually open up the marketplace itself, which is here. But we can also access it inside of Unreal Engine. If you go to your library, you'll find under your Fab library here, you should have a plugin called the Fab UE plugin. And if you click Install to Engine and choose which engine you want to install it in, I already have it on 5.4. Click Install. It'll install and start up the plugin for Fab inside your project. You'll probably have to reopen your project. So make sure you save, close it out, and then reopen it after you've installed the plugin. If you go into Edit and Plugins here, and then if we search Fab, you'll find it here. You want to make sure that it's on. And what this is going to do for us is if we go to Window down here to Fab, it will give me an error because of course it will. Hold on. I literally just had this working. Okay, not entirely sure what happened there, but if you open up the Fab window, it'll give you, and it's another tool that we can throw right down here. It'll give you the full Fab website inside of your engine, and what we want to do is if we go to, is Quixel available this way? No. All right. Well, we'll search up Quixel real fast. I wonder if it does. There's samples. There's Quixel. Go to our Quixel section here, and what we're gonna do is we want to just I can't even open it. Dang. Let's just search it up. Quixel, and then from here, if we wanted to grab, I grabbed the grass clumps. You can also grab any of the other plant models here that you want, but I'm just going to go with the grass clumps, and let's do this velvet grass. If you add to project, it'll add it straight to your project, and there it is. Good. It has all of the materials are all set up and everything. That's fantastic. If we go back, and I did grab these, but I don't think I added them to the project. All right. And just for good measure, I'll grab a third type of foliage. Let's grab sunflowers. Sure. add that to the project. Okay, so I accidentally crashed my engine. So let's start up from this again. So we have our grass clumps, and we have our static meshes here. And if we shift click all of these and grab these, drag them over to our foliage types, and then just for good measure, I'm going to do the eel grass as well, or this other grass that I got as well. And so now what'll happen is if I were to say, let's increase our brush size and paint, it's going to paint the foliage all over our scene. And what it's going to do is it's going to, as you can see, you can see how many different versions of the meshes there are on the scene. I'm going to be a little careful with how much grass you actually put onto a scene. It can be kind of intense. But you can change kind of your density. So if we wanted to increase our paint density and paint, now it's a lot denser. But you can kind of sculpt or paint it in whatever design that you want. If I reduce my brush size down to very small, for instance, and we wanted to paint down this path that we made, this ramp, we could do that. If I decide that that's way too much, let's reduce our paint density down to 0.25, and we're just going to give it a little bit of grass running down here. And then let's make a bunch of grass around this edge here. So I'm going to actually choose these here, and then in shift clicking everything, you can edit everything below here all together. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, I'm going to choose deactivate. So now it won't make those, it will only make the other type of grass. And then I'm just going to increase our brush size. Oh, it's way too much. And we're just going to paint here. Oh, actually, I want to increase our paint density as well, back up to 1. We're just going to paint here. And we got some grass. And it's as simple as that. If I wanted to paint a single type of grass like I've done here, I've removed the one type of grass that was up there and only done this grass clumps. I can do that. I can we're going to keep painting around here. We're not going to paint into our little valley we made there, but I will paint around here. And maybe we'll keep that way, and we'll reduce our get some grass going there. Right there. And you can see kind of how it conforms to the shape of your landscape. So it makes it really easy to, for the most part, sometimes depending on LODs, it'll look like it isn't. But that means that you're able to paint on side of ledges and things like that, cliff sides and stuff like that, and it will actually conform to the shape of your landscape. So let's go to our plants. I got these sunflowers, and so I'm going to grab this sunflower. We're going to put this in here. We're going to choose everything else, and we're going to deactivate that, and then we're going to paint just the sunflower. I want to put some sunflowers right here. Maybe I should actually add it correctly. Oh, I want to paint sunflower. Oh, they're very small. How did that happen? Okay, well, maybe if I increase the density of this and the radius up a little bit. Why are you not painting my sunflowers? Weird. I guess that one might be broken. Don't use the sunflowers. I'll delete that, and then we'll just use more of everything else. We'll activate everything, and we'll just paint it right here to give us a little bit of foliage everywhere. And then if you wanted to, if you're like, oh, I actually didn't want to paint anything on this path because I wanted this to be a path, which would make sense. You can also erase by holding Shift or clicking on the erase button. So if I shift here and I can erase everything to create my path. Also good if you wanted to say I was painting in here and I was like, oh, I didn't want to get anything off of this. I can, again, you want to maneuver your brush size, but you can clear up clumps as you like. All right, so now we have foliage. Okay, so next we're going to do trees, and I just did a quick search on Fab4 trees. Unfortunately, a lot of these trees seem to be kind of broken, unfortunately. Let me see if I can... Sure. I'm going to try downloading this one. If this doesn't work, I'll show you. The concept is the same. You're going to... You're going to add the trees to your foliage and you can paint them on, which is a little bit more efficient than doing it individually. So let me add this to my project and then my mesh, grab my mesh, put it in foliage, and let's see what it looks like. Yeah, there we go. And it's not the best looking tree, but this is going to get the point across. So if I wanted to say on this section here, we're going to paint some trees. Oh, God, that's way too many trees. That is way too many trees. Let's do our paint density down to 10.1. And then we'll just paint a couple of trees there. They don't look like that they're actually the correct. They're more bushes. I can never seem to... Yeah. All right, all these trees suck. All right. Well, next thing we can do, if my trees suck, then I'm going to place them individually. So, let's just place a tree here. So this is our pine tree. Oh, now it works well. This was one that I downloaded off of Fab. Again, you can do kind of. Let me go back to selection mode. You can do kind of whatever you want, whatever models you want in your scenes and stuff. I just, for this example, was trying to just grab whatever I could find quickly. So we've added a pine tree there. Let's add a whatever tree this is. Yeah, this is the giant one. I have no idea why this is so big. Look at that. It's huge. I'm going to change its scale to 1/100th. That's better. I'm going to drop it a little bit more. 0.005. There we go. And we're going to add this tree kind of over here. And the more version, like the more variations, kind of like you see with the grass, the more variations you have of your meshes, the more realistic things will look. Yeah, that one didn't work either. I'll grab this tree though. Where is the mesh? There's the mesh. And let's put this tree over here. But this is just to give you an idea of what you can do with landscaping stuff in Unreal Engine. And again, you can paint these if you don't want to place them individually, but placing them, but you have to make sure that the meshes actually work with the placement. So that's all put in there. That's just about as much as I'm going to do for trees. Last thing I want to do is water. When I come back, I will fill out this river. Okay, water. So just using the things that are in the starter content stuff, you can do all sorts of things with water if you would like. In Fab, in fact, I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of good water systems that you can use. Yeah, you have different water flows, water special effects, things like that. If you look at, can we look at my library from here? And we look at my library and we search water. I have a bunch of different. Oh, hold on. I thought I did. Maybe it's not in my Fab. There's a bunch of different stuff that you can use for water effects. You can add code to it. I'm not going to show you that because it's a lot more complex to give it flow and ripples and all the like special effect physics stuff you can do. But if you're looking to just, I want to fill this river section with water, the easiest way to do that is we're going to find our water material. And I just want to check this real fast because it looks a little yeah, it does have a bunch of stuff going on in it. Cool. Okay. We didn't have anything specifically for, does the ocean have something going on in it? And it's just kind of flat. All right. We didn't have anything specifically for like a flowing river, so we're just going to go with the lake. But the simplest way to do this is inside of your level in selection mode, we go to add a shape. If we add a plane, and then we take this plane and we position it where we want it, and then we scale it out to where we want it. So we want it there. We need it more, and just like Maya, you can use W, E, and R to change the scale, rotation, and translation of anything in your scene. You can also use the transform tools down here. But all I'm doing is making this expand to about, and I'm going to go to my perspective view here. We're going to go top down so we can look at it. We want it to kind of reach about the edge of where our water is flowing. So in this case, because this level kind of ends at this edge here, this is where we kind of want our plane to be. And I'm not too concerned about what happens past this, but what you would probably do is build up a barrier so people can't run off the edge or whatever. But I'm not concerned about that for this. But you can make the map larger. You can add actual exits and entrances, loading spots, and everything like that when you get into code. So we're going to take this and we're just going to drop it to where we want the water to be. Let's go like right there. That looks nice and full. And then over here at the material element 0, we're just going to drag our water material on top. And now we have water. And again, you can kind of see the way that it's rippling. It does this in a specific direction. So if we rotate this 90 degrees, now it'll kind of flow a little bit better. It's not sized correctly, and I'll resize it, but now it'll kind of flow better, closer to what we want. And again, you can use different materials. You find materials, make water materials, and use code inside of the material, like I was looking at earlier, like this, that will actually make it ripple, and you can kind of change the intensity and stuff like that if you want to. But that's the basic. Hey, I have water now here in my level. So the final thing before I switch over to doing interior stuff is if I don't actually know where the play mode is going to play me. There it is. So by default, this has collision on it, and I'm not going to change that, but you don't want to have collision on your water. I want to keep it that way so I can actually jump across the river. Now we can walk around and take a look at our very rough, I'm going to be honest, is very rough scene that we've created. If you see something like, so this grass is pretty tall. If I wanted to change that, we can go back into our foliage mode. And we're going to delete this tree because we didn't use that. And we can change this. So if we change the scale to like 0.7 to 1, and then maybe like 0.5 to 1, and then paint on it. Activate all that stuff. Can paint on some more and give it not be so high if we don't want it to be. We can paint it lower. But basically, that's how you do exterior design. You can replace things like your foliage with snow. You want to do snowbanks. Again, if you go into your selection view, go to your landscape here and change this material. So I'm going to click this little search button here to open up everything in the materials here. So this is kind of a rocky looking place, but let's say I wanted to use this grass. You just change this up. And now I have grass that doesn't have any depth and grass that does, which can actually probably let me use less foliage itself on the landscape, which is cool if you wanted to do that. Make it a little bit more efficient. You know, lots of things that you can do. I would mess around with the foliage painter, the landscape mode, and the different materials and stuff. Again, anything you want to use in Fab, that's cool. Just make an interesting looking scene. Oh, and I guess this is I'm going to throw this out there. This is why we don't want to actually end a level like this, but I'm going to because I don't want to build any more out. But you can actually fall through the air or fall off the level, and you'll fall forever. So don't do that. All right. So the next part of this is going to be I'm going to build an interior. Basically, I'm going to build a house on this edge here. So I'm going to show you how that works. But that'll be in the next video. So thanks, everybody. See you guys then.